Welcome to the No Name Brand Podcast. My name is Sashka Hanarapal, actress, singer, dancer, turned brand marketing, sales, and advertising strategist who brands your soul. And each week I bring you an inspiring person or message to help you discover your underdog, turn up your leadership notches, challenge the status quo, because you're fast and furious with a powerful message to share with the world. Thank you for taking time out with me today, and without further ado, let's get our creative and wisdom juices flowing. Is this it? 26, 2 children, postnatal depression, fat, unhappily married, skint, working in a local petrol station. Inside, she was screaming. How did this happen? What the hell am I going to do? Yet now she gives deep gratitude for this breakdown because it was the doorway to her new life. Today's guest is adamant that life does not happen to you, but rather you create the life that you crave. Please help me in welcoming Louise Cartwright, a #tough love mama, a lifepreneur, and a no bullshit coach. Welcome, Louise.
Hello, hello.
How are you, my love?
I'm very excited.
Oh, me too. That's so cool. I can't wait to share your awesomeness. So we're going to dive right in. Okay, shall we? Cool.
Yes, please.
So I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to let you share with us not only the journey, but the time frame from your choice to want to create the life you crave to now. Because we read someone's story and think, oh, that happened fast. You know what I mean? What I want to do is shine some perspective on time frame within a journey.
Perfect.
Over to you, Lou.
Okay, no pressure. Okay, so like you said, that kind of realization was 26. So I'm now 42. So I'm not very good at maths. That's 16 years, 26. Yeah, 16 years. But it wasn't, the original journey was much more slow because it was that 26, you've got these 2 kids. It's not easy to kind of leave a marriage and work out where you're going to get your money from and da-da-da. By the time I got to sort of 30, the growth had started to, I found myself again. So I went back to college and then I went to university and just started to kind of relive. And it was really only from the age of kind of like 30 upwards that I started to really just follow what I wanted to do, right? But I got a lot of flack for that. So a lot of people said, just pick one thing and just do it, where I wanted to try lots of different things. And quite often I tried something and didn't like it. And then I would start and then stop and then go and start something else and then stop and all that kind of stuff. I really feel that exponential growth sort of came from around another breakdown. So when I'd got into my personal training studio and I'd achieved what was technically supposed to be the dream, right? So I'd got my studio, I was earning the 5k months and and I was really, really miserable. So that was a massive revelation because I kept chasing the money, told that when I got the money that I would be happy and all that kind of stuff, and it just didn't happen. And the biggest change only came when I realized that I was always trying to be somebody else. So I wanted to be the business owner and I wanted to be that size and I wanted to be that person. That last breakdown was literally like, if I don't start sorting this out and find out who I really am, I'm going to have to go and get a job and I'm going to have to just be miserable for the rest of my life. And so the biggest growth I would say has been between the ages of about 38 to now. So it looks like it's been a really long journey, but I think when you go through that amount of change and you're getting rid of that amount of crap from yourself growing up, that's going to take time.
Yeah, and it's all the different areas of your life. So it was spiritual, it was physical, your health, your nutrition, relationships, financial, everything that you were going through.
Absolutely. I have to say that the spiritual growth was the thing that made everything else bearable. So I think had I focused on just the finances at the time or just the relationship, I had another big relationship breakdown after I'd got divorced. And that was when I turned to kind of like, I started looking into working with angels and doing my crystals. And I was already a therapist, but I'd never really used it for myself. And it was like, for me, the only way for me to stay sane and not have a massive breakdown was to decide, okay, all my focus is going to go on to my spiritual development and finding some peace within myself. That then fed out and allowed me to have faith in that all those other areas would work out. And it's really easy to forget that. It's really easy to forget that when you reach that place where you feel like, oh, this feels really good to be here, we stop doing all those things that's got us there in the first place. It's like going on a diet, losing that 2 stone, looking really good, and then the odd glass of wine goes in or the odd chocolate bar, and then half a stone goes on really quickly. So I think that's a massive misconception that this whole growth journey actually ever stops. Because the minute you stop doing those things every single day, it's just getting on that downward slide all over again. And then people wonder why they're constantly swinging between feeling in control and feeling like they're going to lose the plot.
Why do you think we do that? Why do you think, like, once we reach that goal, we're like, oh, cool, now I can just ease off?
I don't know. It was really weird. We had this conversation in my club last night, and one of my clients presented with it. She said, like, I recognise it now, this self-sabotage behaviour where I start to see results and then I literally just put my fingers up to it and go, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to start eating crap and I'm going to stop doing this. And I think there's lots of things. I think it's your ego has gone, right, I'm just going to remind her how much effort it took to get here. And if she wants to stay here, she's got to do that every day of her life. So let's just remind her how easy it is to not do all that stuff. So I think that's the first thing. I think ego just comes in and just gives you a little bit of a reminder. And I think it's just that human nature thing, isn't it? Where it's attention span. And I think what we do is we get focused on just following the tick sheet, right? I'm going to just do this, and this. If I just do my gratitude today, if I just do my yoga, if I just do this, tick it all off, get to the end of the day and go, oh, I did all that stuff. But we're not, my theory is that we have to become that person. So we're not just following something to get somewhere. We are the person who is sort of spiritually enlightened. So if we're going to be like that, what behaviour do we have to do every day? It's just who we are. So same with your nutrition. If you look at yourself as somebody that needs to lose weight and I'm on a diet versus I just eat well because it makes me feel good. So it's because we don't embody the behaviour. We just see it as a process. And I think the minute we say, okay, if I am this person now, what beliefs and behaviours does she have? And then non-negotiable, even if you have to schedule yourself in a day a week or a day a month where you go, I'm not doing none of it. I'm going to sit and eat chocolate and drink wine all day and I'm not going to do any spiritual stuff. And if that, I think you've got to do what you need to do to make sure that for the rest of the time, you're doing those little things every day because that's just who you are.
Yeah, that's so true. Speaking about business and nutrition, why the hell did you start your own business? I mean, you mentioned it's like nailing yourself to a cross, which is something you didn't really want to do, and yet you pursued it. Why?
Gosh, I have no idea. I really have no idea. I was working for 20 hours a week in an office for the company my husband worked for, and that was literally just because I didn't have a choice because I'd been a single parent on benefit, and so when he moved in, I lost all my benefits and everything, so I had to go get a job. And it was just, I came into a couple of £1,000 and I thought, I'm not going to waste it. I'd always been interested in exercise and nutrition because I'd been obviously that fat kid, so I'd spent my whole life being on a diet and working out to burn off the calories that I'd eaten in the day, and so I went and did my personal training course. And it's really weird that you asked me this because I think it's so easy for us to forget how brave we've been. So at the time they were building a brand new cycle park near me, so it was the biggest in Europe. It wasn't even open, and I found out who was running it. I went and spoke to him and said, right, I need to be your fitness instructor. Whether I pay for a room or you pay me, that's what I'm going to do. And I just started it, and for a good few months the only people that came to my classes were my sister and my husband and my kids, and I still didn't give up. And like a year and a half later I had sort of 60 odd women coming through the door every week. But it got to a stage where I was doing 6 sessions and I was working, and I was like, I don't want to do both of this stuff. My husband said, just give it a go, just leave. At that point I still didn't see myself as having a business. I could never say it. I had to say I was self-employed because having a business seemed far too pretentious or a big fat lie. I'm just earning my own money. I was just self-employed. So I didn't use business owner probably until about a year ago, if I'm honest.
Wow. That's a long journey.
It is.
When did you get into fitness and when did you get into life coaching?
So fitness I started in 2000, that was about 2011. I'd done my kickboxing and I'd become an instructor in that to help with the kids because I love teaching the kids. And I think that's what made me go and do the personal training, because I really, really just enjoyed seeing people improve. So I did that, and I still do a wee bit of the personal training and stuff now, but I really moved over into coaching only towards the end of last year when I did the NLP and timeline therapy, because it just gave me that extra tool. And like I said earlier, on that journey to find out who my authentic self was, I realised that whatever I'd worked in throughout my life, when I did my therapies and my training, it was all about helping people to discover how amazing they are and what they're capable of. And it just became like, you know what, it does matter obviously how fit and healthy you are, but a smaller body isn't going to make you feel any better about yourself if the crap's still going on inside, because I've been there. And for me, the transformational change has to be totally from the inside, and totally realising that your health and fitness is one part of it, but just one part of a massive picture. And quite often when we're holding extra weight, that's just a symptom of something else that we're not looking at, and we're hiding underneath it. So yeah, so the coaching, you coach all the time, right? When you're doing whatever you're doing, fitness and nutrition is some form of coaching, but the life coaching, transformation coaching has been literally from December. And when we talked about growth earlier, the growth between December and now in terms of my focus and where I'm going, is just through the roof. It's immense.
It's great that you mentioned that, because that brings me to the next question. So it leads beautifully. Lovely. So throughout your journey, you've probably grown into your why. In other words, the reason why you're doing what you're doing. Can you share your why and your business message with us?
Sure. That is so true, because that was one of the things that I fought fought against was like, everyone would go, if your why is big enough, the how will find the way. And I wanted to punch people in the face when they said that to me. I'm like, my why literally is I don't want to go sit in an office and make men cups of tea and have to listen to kind of like crappy talk. That was my why at the time. But my why now is that when I'm out and about and I look at people, I feel like so many people are walking around with their eyes shut. We're in a world now where we need a whole lot of eyes being opened, and we need a whole lot of love going on, and we need a whole lot of people just realizing that, okay, we might be a product of our past right now, but we can choose to change that. And that as universal beings, the only thing that stops us like being the next Tony Robbins or the next Oprah is this crappy story we've got going on in our head. And the bottom line is we can choose, I know it's hard, but we can choose not to have that one. We can choose to choose something different.
Yeah.
So the message that I want to get across, and I've always worked sort of predominantly with women, probably because of that, waking up one morning thinking, oh my God, like I should be really happy because I'm married and I've got these 2 kids. And a lot of people, that's all they want. Or that's what they say they want. I woke up thinking that my life had ended, just thinking, these kids I don't know what to do with them. I've never been somebody that's maternal. I didn't want to be in a relationship. And I think that's my thing to say to people, regardless of where you are right now, your future and even tomorrow can look completely different. One action, one decision, one change of perception, and you can choose to change your life like on a 180. And the more I do it, the more I'm kind of really driven to people who I've got myself a little tagline. So I want to work with vision makers, action takers, and world changers. Because I really honestly believe that all of us as people that are coming out and setting up their own businesses, and we're changing the world on a monumental level energetically.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just about us earning money and creating the lifestyle that we want. It's about how we impact in the world and our generations come after us on a huge level. And that really excites me.
Same. It really excites me. That gets me more excited about my why as well. What do you say, or what would you say are the 3 biggest myths about health and nutrition and how it affects our success forwards in pretty much everything in our life? Business, relationships, financial, everything.
The 3 biggest myths. Oh, that's a good question. I think certainly that one size fits all, that has been the bane of my life. Like with everything. Like if you speak to my parents, they go, oh, she's very hot-headed, she's very stubborn, da-da-da. But it's that whole not being put in a box. And yes, whilst there might be a strategy, calorie counting was, I know it's very 1980s, but I've seen people crucify themselves trying to lose weight, doing what some celebrities done in the newspaper, and well, it worked for them. Well, it might not work for you because you've got different genetics, you've got different hormones, yada, yada, yada. So, and that goes with everything, business blueprints, da-da-da. Take the foundation or take the structure, but then work out how it makes you feel and how you need to tweak it for yourself. Because if you're pushing through something and it feels like crap, it's not sustainable. So that's my big one, I think. Yeah, one size fits all. Second of all, just in terms of fitness and nutrition, is that a different body will make you a different person. Total crap. You know me, so I've been everywhere from sort of like a size 16 to 18 to a size 8, and probably my self-worth was the least at a size 8 because it was being driven by, if I just look this way, this person will love me. That was all it was about. So it was really super destructive. So and that is why I started to feel quite inauthentic with the whole diet and fitness thing, because people would come and you knew that it was affecting them and affecting the way they lived, but it wasn't going to be the answer if they didn't get to the bottom of why they were doing that in the first place, why they didn't feel that they could live another way. So that's number 2. And number 3, I think that, and this was a bit of a realization, because I used to say to my clients, if you go around saying to yourself, life's hard, that's what you're going to get, that's what you're going to see. So don't use the word hard, but if you want to live the life that you crave, create the life you crave, you've got to put the freaking effort in, right? It's not going to happen overnight. Unless you go marry a prince, it's not going to happen overnight. And I think it's that whole, what Brendan Burchard talks about, the goal is not the goal, the self-actualization is the goal. Yeah. So if you are not partaking in the journey, you're kind of missing the point, because it's like, how can I show up fully in my health and fitness? I mean, I don't do triathlons for fun. I do it because it's a challenge, and I've got a body that allows me to do that. How can you show up more fully in your abundance and your money mindset, and how can you, and connection and giving back and all those kind of things? That's the whole process. And when you engage in all of that, it's almost like, I'm not going to say your business takes care of itself, because it doesn't, but it puts you in a state of intentional inspiration, which is always going to be your zone of genius. And it doesn't have to be so hard then. And if it makes you feel icky, it's not right. Don't do it. It's simple, right? And just do the things that you love to do. And I know people go, oh, well, it's all right for you. Oh, that's my 4th one. It's all right for you. Oh, it's so not all right for anybody, because you've got no idea what they're going through.
Exactly.
So if it ever comes out of your mouth in front of me, I will slap you for it.
Not going to come from me. It's fine. What's your biggest and scariest dream for your life?
Wow. Probably actually just to be recognised for talking about what I think is common sense. And I really, that everybody knows that Marianne Williamson quote about being scared to shine. And I just didn't get that for years. I'm like, what is she talking about?
Tell us this for those that don't know it.
Oh gosh, I've got something to do with our biggest fear is not, I can't remember. You'll know it, isn't it? Yeah, your biggest fear is about it's not achieving. It's about shining your light so brightly that you sort of guide the way for other people. I thought, oh God, nobody's scared of being successful. But crap, I really was. Because, and I'll tell you why, it comes back to that whole, again, you talk about hardware ceilings that we have, like in our brain, which comes from a virus that we call parenthood, right? So we've got this parenthood virus and it kind of, I nearly swore then, messes you up for a little bit. And I was always told, Louise, you're too mouthy. Louise, you're too opinionated. Louise, you're too gobby. Louise, you're too loud. You know, all this kind of stuff. And so after a while, you think that that's a bad thing. So for me to come out and do live videos on Facebook and talk about what I love, that I find so easy to talk about and expect to get paid for it, it was like, oh my God, will my parents think I'm just like a loudmouth? Will my family think like a fake or a con and all that? So I've had to really work on that to get rid of that, because there are hundreds of thousands of us doing coaching in some way, mentoring, teaching, whatever. I totally believe that it's just, we're not teaching somebody something, we're helping them to remember what they already know, but by just taking off the crap from the outside. So because I've been doing it from that revelation at the age 26, I'm like, wow, doesn't everybody know this already? I'm not getting it. And that's been a big lesson. Like, no, not everybody knows it, or we know it and we don't do it. And that's the big difference. You can know it, but if you're not doing anything with it, you're not going to get anywhere anyway. So it's just giving people that courage and that faith that you can keep going.
And becoming big.
And I think as well, it's that because we're so used to seeing, we've got our limit of where we've been successful before in all areas, right? So for us to think about breaking that next ceiling and moving another step up, sometimes a little bit like, oh my God, how much work have we got to do to get that? But it might not even be that. It might just be that sudden breakthrough where somebody loves your message, or you write a book and it becomes #1 bestseller, or actually your biggest success is that you get to spend all day, every day doing what you love and you're just happy. I'm gobsmacked by the amount of people that don't use that word. Like, I want to be happy. They go, I want to be successful. Okay, well, so where does happiness come into that? So, and I think that's another realization. There's a lot of people kind of like striving for this, not even sort of like celebrity status, but they're striving for the financial status, and they're striving for they want to be recognized, they want to be talking about, but in that pursuit, they lose a little bit of their sparkle because they're not sort of acting in joy. So I think it's coming back to that.
And also all those celebrities, all of them, I mean, if you really look at it, they're all kickstart and it's all wonderful. And then by the time they get to that stage of celebrity status, they know they have to go through self-actualization because everything else doesn't make them happy.
Absolutely.
And then they have to find out, well, what is going to make me happy? And then finding that journey, and then finding that it actually comes within you and not outside of you.
Yeah, I know a lot of us talk about it, but again, it's one of those things that a lot of people talk about it, but they don't absorb it, and they go, oh, it's all right for you. But a slap comes along. And that's why I'm really grateful for having realised that I did pursue the smaller body. That didn't make me happy. I did pursue this soul-instructed relationship, if you like. I felt it was definitely, he was my soulmate, and I pursued that at the expense of my mental and emotional health, and that didn't make me happy. And I pursued the money, and I got the money, and that didn't make me happy. Because all the while, it was like assuming that when I get to there, then I'm okay. I can sit back and relax a little bit. And we all know now that can't happen. So I would much rather do this self-actualization as I go along and learn to trust and love and totally accept myself right now. And then we know then that the energy that we give out to the universe, it reaches much more far, much more wide. It's much clearer. It's vibrating at a much higher energy. And then we will attract those opportunities and those people and those resources that in our conscious mind, we don't know what they are until they get put on a plate in front of us and you go, didn't see that one come in. The more that I see that, certainly in the last 6 months, the more, that I've met different people and I've done different experiences, and it's about having that faith. But I do think that, and that is why I was really, really anti-goal setting for a long time. It's not, again, someone said the word goal to me, that also ensued a slap, because I hate the word goal, but it was, again, based on limiting beliefs about what's the point in setting them because I won't get there anyway. But also I feel that sometimes goal implies that there's a lack of dreamy vision. So that's why I much prefer a vision, because you can set the vision, you can set so many steps in, but know that a lot of the in-between steps are going to be instructed by the universe, and you can't actually say how that's going to happen.
I also don't like the word goal. For me personally, it's very limiting because it's like that's the only end station that I can go to.
Totally.
And for me, it's more, I prefer, I've always loved the word milestone. So I'm like, oh, I reached this milestone and then there's another one over there and then there's another one. So it's never ending.
Yes.
I always know there's more possibilities that are coming my way. But that was because I also thought maybe for myself, goal setting, is it because I don't reach it? And what we were talking right in the beginning is when someone reaches a goal like losing weight, when someone reaches a goal losing weight and then they get there and they're going, and now what?
Exactly.
It's like they've just reached there and it's like they haven't planned further than that. And everything just stops and then there's nothing there and there's no one to motivate them or inspire them or nothing after that. So they go, oh, well, I might as well go back to the old way because I was comfortable over there. I knew my way around there.
And that's really, really hard. And like, it comes back to that self-actualization again. So whilst obviously we're in the throes of pursuing a bigger business to make a bigger impact on the world, that's a pretty big vision to have. And so it's multifaceted. So that's what, that's one of the, again, go back to the triathlons. That's one of the reasons why I do it, because my mum goes to me, oh, Louise, you've always got so much on your plate. Classic. But what would I be doing if I wasn't doing that?
Yeah.
I'd probably spend another couple of hours in front of my laptop designing beautiful, pretty things on Canva and not really using anything. So why not use this amazing body that I've got, even if it inspires one other woman to go do that? It also means to me that, I did an Instagram post at the weekend. It's more than the exercise. So in the weekend, like I go swimming in the lake, my husband comes down in the canoe, my mum and dad might come down for coffee when we sit outside the lake. So that's about love and family and connection. I think if we can see everything as being interconnected in our growth in some way and not being insular, you can almost just see these beautiful sort of patterns weaving outwards. And it's a little bit like the Russian dollies, but we're back to front. So we get bigger, we just expand out as we learn more about ourselves and what we're capable of. And so in the end, we're just these huge, amazing beings of attracting loveliness and all that. And knowing that sometimes it is going to be crap and sometimes it is going to take a lot more effort. And sometimes you are going to wake up and your ego's going to go, you're crap, stop what you're doing and go get a job. And it's up to us how we decide to answer her.
You said something before, how your parents, the parenthood, the hardwire that we have, and how they say to you, oh, you're too loud, you're too this, you're too this. And for myself, I always get it. Everyone always goes the same thing to me. So busy, huh? You're stressed. Don't you have enough time? And then it almost made me feel bad about doing what I do. I'd be like, maybe I shouldn't be doing so much. And then after a while, I'm like, oh, it's not my problem. It's your problem.
Absolutely.
You're bored, not me. I'm having the time of my life. I'm actually putting my dreams into action. And it's scary. And when things scare you, I'd like to know what, let's say 2 things. What do you do for yourself when things scare you? Like, how do you get out of that scared phase?
Sometimes I'm going to have my hand up here. Sometimes I have a little mini meltdown and I throw a tantrum and I go to my ego, I'm not doing this anymore. And I give myself a day watching Sex and the City in bed and eating bread and croissants and all stuff that's full of carbs and crap. And then I feel really sick and think, why did I do that? That doesn't happen very often, right? But every now and again, I give my ego the day to do what she likes. Like she's a queen. But for the most part, I just recognise now, again, this took me a long time to get here. It's like, I ask myself, why has that happened now? What has just happened right before I decided to be scared about something? And I just realised that I've just slightly taken my eye off the ball. I've just entertained the thought of, holy crap, I've just seen my to-do list. Or, oh my God, I've got to go and get on a bike for 90 minutes and I hate riding. Or something like that. And it's just reminding you about the effort, and it's just reminding you about not everything is 100% enjoyable. So I pick a task, but it's got to be a task that is moving me forward, but that's, a little bit more enjoyable. So the triathlon training is a great one. Quite often what I'll do is I'll have a little deal with myself. So I go, right, I'll do 50 minutes on the bike instead of 60. I'll do the 60 anyway, but I just appease the ego. And then I treat myself with a nice lunch down there and a coffee and my book. So I make it more of an event. It's all about where you've just put your focus just before you decided to get scared. And I think for me, the worst thing that could happen for me is that I have to go get a job if my business ever failed. Is that really the worst thing when you look at what other people are putting up with in the world? It's nothing. And actually, that's a bit of a lie. It'd be going out and getting a job, but it'd be about losing that inspiration. The thought of me going to live a life where I go do a 9 to 5 and I come home and I put the TV on and we talk about EastEnders and Coronation Street and I go to a fitness class twice a week, and oh my God, that actually brings me out in hives just thinking about that. And yeah, so I think if you're scared, you've just taken your eye off the ball slightly and you've got to write. And really, we know fear is not real. So what are you actually scared of? You're scared of your own power, or you're scared that somebody might go, oh, well, you don't know what you're talking about, or you can't charge that. But like you said, that's totally theirs. Yeah. I've come from a stage of 26. I couldn't afford to get a coach, or I couldn't even afford to go to a slimming club. So I had to do it all myself. You know what it's like when you invest in yourself and your business. That's scary when you go, oh, there's another course that I need to do. It's more scary telling telling my husband that I want to do it and I'm going to spend more money. But yeah, it's just refocus and just do something that's moving you forward. Because every time you just allow yourself to go into the energy of this could go wrong or this could really hurt, you've just lost the game.
Yeah.
So refocus.
I like that. I set milestones. So I have it in my mind, but I also like to draw it. I love drawing everything out. So it's kind of like a mind map. So I draw a line and I draw milestones, and I'll put what the worst at the end, my detrimental destiny. For example, like you were saying, get a job, and then work back like all the things that would happen in between. And then just kind of like, oh, those are all just thoughts and they're not really things that could happen. So what can I say against this as an affirmation or affirmation, and just work against those things?
That's a great idea. I'm going to share that with my clients.
Okay.
But just talking about drawing your vision, I've just had like a vision blueprint booklet made for my clients to take them through all the, and I talk about energetic intention, right? So how do they formulate their energetic intentions that things happen for them rather than them having to go out and do it? So attracting that stuff in. Anyway, at the end of the process, I had this revelation talking to another client about the fact that I used to draw all the time. So when I was being a bit of a weirdo and manifesting my husband, I used to draw a little stick family every day, and it was never out of, oh, please make this happen. It was like, it just connected me energetically to how that would feel to be part of that family unit again. And we've been married 9 years, and it was better than I ever could have drawn. It's beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, I've so stopped doing that. You know, when we talked about you do these things, you get it, and then you stop doing it again.
Yeah.
And then I remembered, this is the whole inspired intentional stuff. Then I remembered a TED talk that I watched years ago. I can't remember the woman's name, but if you Google draw your life, a TED talk about drawing your life. I can't remember what her name is. She comes up at the top search. Anyway, she's got 2 videos, and she talks more scientifically about the power of having this drawing where you symbolically draw your current life and then you symbolically draw your dream reality, and the power of that. And I'm like, holy crap. And so that was another sheet now that I've put in to just remind people, because we're visual people, we've got visual representations of everything in our brain.
Yeah.
If we can make that really a powerful anchor of like, this is what's not working for me in my life right now, but in this vision of my life here, this is how it feels to feel loved, connected, inspired, rich, that's super powerful for your brain. So I'm really interested about that. Timeline thing is really interesting, actually, just to shut your ego up.
Exactly. Yeah. And just to get on the show as well is also where I speak to Tanya Ala, and she gives your soul a voice that's always suppressed. So exactly that. So she works with mandalas, brings that. So you're not necessarily drawing something. She gives you something to draw, and your soul actually talks to you through your visual representation. And it's so amazing because it's all in your head. A lot of things on your head and some things on your heart, and it's just connecting the two. So those are wonderful things that you can use, like coaching and with everything in your life, in health, nutrition. Oh, look what I want to look like. I just had a little stick man with a muscle. Dunk.
A little bicep.
Ding, ding, ding. So looking back to when you were skin fat, really unhappy with life and you, what 3 tips do you think would have jolted you to wake up and change?
I guess one thing is that you have always got a choice. And so just because it wouldn't have been the choice of your parent or your family members or whatever, you've got a choice. That would be the first thing. It's just, it always comes back to this. If you don't know who you are, everything's going to be a struggle. So that's something that I bring myself back to all the time now. Is this in line with who I am? I recognise now conversations that I've had in the past where I know it's been about, oh, if I say this, that they might like me more or they might appreciate me more, and everything. And so, you know, the energy behind that's really crappy. And to be honest, like if you're well self-actualized, people can smell that a mile off. And it doesn't smell very pleasant. So having a choice totally about taking a good, honest look at yourself and accepting yourself for where you are, because you can't move forward in anything if it's coming from a place of self-hate or not accepting where you are now. And thirdly, just about this amazing infinite power that we actually are. And Derek Rydell, I mean, I love his book, I love his podcast, and he talks about his version of self-actualization is, when we tend the soil of our soul, then we can literally grow into what we're supposed to be. So, if we look at our gardens now and we think just 3 or 4 months ago, there was no colour, you might have got the odd little leaf starting to come up, and then all of a sudden now we've got these beautiful flowers, I've got vegetables growing, I've got tomatoes growing. It doesn't sit there and go, oh, I'm going to try and be something else, or I'm going to be bigger than that tomato, or lion doesn't go, oh, well, I can't be the head lion because, you know, the other one's so much more muscly than me. It just does its freaking job. It shows up, it allows the universe to express itself through that thing. So we have just been, our little universal orb, if you like, has been plopped into a human body. Off you go. Now go and be the biggest, bestest version of the human being that you can be. Of course, then we've got this virus of parenthood. and I think sometimes, you know, parents, it's, you know, they can be a little bit jealous when they see you going off to live your, it's not that they mean to be jealous, I don't think, but I think certainly if I had my time again, would I? I don't ever want to say that. I don't ever want to say, I just wish I'd done anything. I want to either do it or decide that I'm not doing it for a reason. So just to recognize just your infinite potential and the fact that you're perfect as you are. We can always improve in anything. But yeah, definitely about just find out who you are and like yourself now.
Love that. So we're coming to the end, unfortunately. And I ask all my guests 2 questions near the end. So I'm give you 3 of my core values, and I'd like your take on it by filling in the blanks.
Oh my goodness. Okay. No pressure.
No pressure. It's pretty easy. So wisdom for you is?
Well, I got just a picture of this kind of like a white light then, knowing who you are and what you're capable of.
Yeah. Ooh, goosebumps. Creativity for you is?
Okay, I've got to give you the first one. Difficult came up for that, but I want to say essential.
Yes, like that. Passion for you is?
Oh, definitely essential. And I think that's passion in just passion for living, passion for getting every day by the short and curlies and going, right, what am I going to do today? Who am I going to be today? And I just think it's a little bit lost along the way. People are just existing. They're not living and experiencing. And I think maybe that's one of the things about opening their eyes to the passion of life.
Well, we follow our role models, hey?
Absolutely.
Iris Parenthood, or whoever's raising us. How do you want to change the world or challenge the world doing what you do?
Gosh, I want it to be, I don't want what we do as being business owners to be an exception to the rule. I want it to be that, obviously when I grew up, it was like, okay, what are you going to be? Are you going to be a nurse or a doctor or a pilot or an accountant or a shop worker? I actually wanted to be an ice cream lady when I was younger. I wanted an ice cream van. So there was nobody ever spoke to you about creating a life. You just became something, right? You became a role. You became a job title, a mother and wife. So my mission is to wake people up to possibility so that they can create a life that they're really hankering after. And the more that you uncover who you are, you might find that changes, that you're like that what you desire really starts to change for you. But also I think because of this whole hardware ceiling that we have is so powerful and stops so many of us from achieving until we're that much older. Don't get me wrong, I think we need to have a certain amount of journey to remember our wisdom, right? To remember who we are. I really, really want to be able to do something where I can work with children to help them remove that hardware before they get to 30, 35, 40 and go, who am I and how did I get here? So teach them that they've got this choice and they've got this power and they don't have to be formed by somebody else. They can formulate who they want to be. And I think if we can do that and everybody's living in a higher state of intention and joy and passion and courage, if we move that 5% rule and we make it 10% and then 15%, imagine the energetic change in the world. And you just don't know how that's going to impact the world. You know, when there's a lot more love and faith and people are going, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. I'm going out there because Sasha's done it and Louise has done it and all these other people that we know have done it. If they can do it, I can do it. Yeah. And we can change the world sort of generations down the line.
I love that. Impact. Thank you so much for being with us here today and for sharing your wisdom and creativity and passion.
Thank you for having me.
To change the world one person at a time.
Absolutely.
And to live the life that you crave. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Dang, that was just supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I enjoyed having you on board, and please do me and you a favor. Head on over to iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. Click subscribe, and a super bonus, leave your review and you stand a chance of being announced and advertised on the show. I'm always striving to ensure that your brand is uplifted and empowered. Remember, done is better than perfect. So be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and send in your feedback too. You're the absolute best. Keep rocking.